This is our first visit to Poland. Dziękuję, Nina. Did I say that right? Dziękuję Fundacja i Kazimierza Łyszczyńskiego. As Nina told you, Annie Laurie Gaylor, whom you heard earlier today, she and I are co-directors and co-presidents of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and we are married. In fact, we met each other on Oprah Winfrey television show many years ago. You can see it online if you go to Barker, Gaylor, Oprah. Look on YouTube, and you can see the day that we met each other. And I had hair. And it was a great show. Oprah's producers had packed that audience with a bunch of Bible thumpers and preachers, and one of them told Annie Laurie that she was a witch. The devil got a hold of you, she said. So what a pleasure to be here, to see so many people from so many countries fighting for the same thing. And here's Michael Nugent taking my photograph here. How's that looking?
Excellent.
Michael Nugent of Atheist Ireland. I told Michael yesterday that I think his country is moving forward, if you've been watching the news, and maybe our country is starting to move backwards. It's kind of scary now under Trump and the religious right, and there's a lot of work to be done. So, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, Annie Laurie told you that in the mid-1970s, she and her mother started the group with just 3 people. Today, there are more than 31,000 paid members. Not just people who like you on Facebook, but actual members who join the group, fighting for 2 things. The first one is to keep government and religion separate. The second one is to educate the public about the views of non-theists, non-believers. And most of our members are atheists. Some of them are agnostics. Some of them call themselves secular humanists. Others might say they are liberal believers or deists. But what we like to say is we don't care what we call ourselves. We all disbelieve in the same God. So, does it matter? We have now 9 full-time attorneys, lawyers, working in our newly expanded building in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison is the capital city of the state of Wisconsin, north of Chicago. And these 9 attorneys, plus their staff, and sometimes many interns, have trouble getting the work done. There is so much work to do to keep religion and government separate. Ever since Donald Trump was inaugurated in 2016, we have had 16 legal victories in the courts. We've gone to court to sue the government, and 3 losses. I'll tell you about one of those. 16-3 is a very good record when you go into courts, mostly in federal court. And since that time, we've also had, well, last year alone, we received more than, how many thousand complaints came in? More than 1,000 complaints came in, and we were able to send, 6,000, and we sent out more than 1,000 letters.
3,000.
3,000, okay. She's the genius one. She knows everything. And by sending letters to mayors, governors, principals, school board superintendents, and so on, we have been able to make more than 300 victories correcting abuses of state-church separation, just without going to court, which is a pretty amazing thing to do.
Every year.
Yeah, every year. That was just in this last year. So, let me tell you about one of the cases, because it has to do with me. You can go online and see all of our history of the cases. And if you like to read the law, all of the briefs are there, all of the complaints are there, all of the amicus briefs are there. If you like to read law in the United States under the First Amendment. But we have in our country, of course, bicameral legislation. We have a Senate and we have a House of Representatives. Both of those houses have a chaplain that is paid with public dollars, paid with my tax dollars, And they have staff, the 2 chaplains alone, who have only one job. The job is to open Congress every day with a prayer, to solemnize the occasion. That's their only job. It's costing us about $800,000 every year just to pay for them to come up as a chaplain to open Congress. The chaplain of the U.S. House of Representatives has a habit of inviting guest chaplains to come in. So about 40% of the time, the chaplain doesn't even do the job. Outsiders come in. So a member of the House of Representatives will ask, or the Senate. For example, when Senator Feingold became a senator, one of the first things he did was he asked the chaplain if his sister, who was a rabbi, could come into the Senate to open the Senate with a Jewish prayer. And of course they said yes. So there have been Jews, there have been Unitarians, there have been some Muslims, there have been many Christians, of course, Catholics and Protestants. But there has never been an atheist, an open atheist, come in to give an atheist prayer or invocation. And we kind of think that the House of Representatives should be representative. Don't you think? Because there are Jews in our country, there are many religions in our country, there are Catholics, and there is a fast-growing number of atheists and agnostics in our country as well. In fact, the fastest-growing religion in the United States right now is non-religion, people who put no religion. So, my representative, his name is Mark Pocan, he asked the chaplain, whose name is Father Patrick Conroy. You can guess what religion is Father Patrick Conroy. Sounds very much like Ireland, doesn't it? My representative, Mark Pocan, asked Patrick Conroy if I could come to give an atheistic invocation before the U.S. House of Representatives, which is only fair, don't you think? And the chaplain said, no, we can't have that, because the person needs to be ordained, an officially ordained minister. Well, I am an officially ordained minister. I have an ordination. I was a Christian preacher, and I've been using it to do weddings for secular humanists. In fact, I performed a wedding at the United States Air Force Academy, and the chaplain allowed me to come in and perform a wedding. So I've been using my ordination. He gave a lot of other excuses why I could not do it. And then finally he said, well, the person who delivers the prayer must address a higher power. And atheists don't have a higher power. So atheists cannot give the prayer. And he said, see? And my representative, Mark Pocan, who, by the way, is openly gay. He ran as an openly gay representative. And he fought the restriction about allowing his husband to come in. He fought that and he won that. They used to call them, instead of husband, they called them designated other. And Mark Pocan said, how exciting is that? I'd like you to meet my designated other. This is instead of my husband. So he told the chaplain, you know, you might get sued over this. You might be legal action. So sure enough, we did sue. We sued over this. This is discrimination. It's not fair that our country is secular, and yet those of us who are non-religious don't get to participate. So to set his mind at ease, I sent him a draft of my suggested prayer or invocation, an atheist prayer. And I said, there is no, in my country, there is no higher power than we the people. We the people are the higher power in this country. What do we call our president? I mean, you might want to call him a lot of things, but we call our president Mr. President. We don't have any high titles, you know, Your Honor or Your Excellency, or like the cardinals, you know, what they call those people. So we are all the same. We have, what I say is we have a higher power of reason, a higher power of morality, a higher power of accountability and responsibility, all those values that unite all of us human beings. So we sued Father Patrick Conroy, You can look it up online. It's Barker versus Conroy. And we lost at the lowest level. We lost at the court level because the judge said, she said, Barker was indeed injured. Barker's rights were indeed violated. It was not right what happened. But you cannot sue the chaplain for this because she used the word, it's not traceable to the chaplain. Well, that is a bad argument, and that's never been used before. It was a way to duck the issue, if you know what I mean, to not have to deal with the merits. So we are appealing that decision in Washington, D.C. District Court of Appeals, and we are awaiting for a decision from the court anytime. So maybe when we wake up tomorrow, we will hear the news that there will be the first atheist prayer in Congress. Don't pray about it. So I did used to be a preacher, as you know, and when I was a preacher, I used to believe that I had the good news of the gospel. The word gospel means good news. The word evangelical, you know, evangelical Christians, it means good news. So I used to travel around for 19 years. I preached the good news of the Bible. But you know what that good news is? Is there some water I can grab here? Let me take a break. I'll tell you what that good news is. Voda? Okay, here's the good news of the gospel. Suppose you are walking by my house one day. You're going right past my house. And you go by, you're going to work, you're going to school, and then I come out on my front porch and I say, hey, stop! I have some good news. Stop, Nina. Listen, I have some good news for you. And you stop, what? So this is really good news. You don't have to go down in my basement. Isn't that good news? You don't have to go down in my basement. And you look at me. Because I'm special. And I love you, and you should love me too, and I'm really important. And every day you've been walking by my house and you're ignoring me. You're not giving me the attention that I deserve. And that made me very angry. I am a wrathful person. And I was so angry that you're not giving me the attention and the glory that I deserve. So I built a torture chamber in my basement. And there's fire down there. And there's knives down there. And there's these vats with chemicals. And there's these hooks on the wall. And it's very hellish down there. But you don't have to go down there. I sent my son down there. And he suffered. And it was ugly. It was an agony of suffering and shame, like it says in that hymn. And it was horrible, but that satisfied my anger. That satisfied my wrath. I'm no longer mad at you. All you have to do, Nina, all you have to do is come up to my porch here and then just thank my son for what he did for you and give me a big hug and tell me that you love me, and then we can move upstairs in the attic and you can spend eternity telling me how great I am because of what I did for you. Isn't that the best news you've ever heard in the whole world? So what would you do, ma'am? Would you keep walking? Or would you... So I have to go to work now, sorry. Or maybe you find a different way to work from now on. But I used to preach that all the time, that the good news of the God, that's what it is, really. This angry God, that you're not loving him, and he's going to punish you, but then somebody dies on a cross and there's blood, dripping down, and somehow that makes him happy, and that's really not great. So, but I think we atheists actually have some better news. We have some really good news as atheists. And this might sound kind of strange, but I think the good news that we offer to the world as atheists, when I was a preacher, I used to say, without God, there's no purpose in life. But as atheists, I think we can say to the world that there is no purpose of life. And that's good news. Because if there were a purpose of life, that would mean we are secondary to some lord, master, monarch, big husband, God, father thing up there who gives us our purpose. Oh, please, Daddy, tell me what to do. Or some military officer, or some slave plantation owner. There is no purpose of life, and that is great, because life is not so much top down as it is bottom up. But to say that there's no purpose of life is not to say there's no purpose in life. There is immense purpose in life, not from up above, like this, but coming from below, from our own evolved human nature and our instincts and our morality. And that purpose comes, as all of you know in this room, that purpose comes from solving problems, working to solve problems. As long as there's hunger in the world, there will be purpose in life. As long as there's inequality in the world, there will be purpose in life. As long as there's war, as long as there's sexism, as long as there's racism, as long as there's poverty, as long as there's disease or natural disasters, you name it. You can make a long list of problems that happen to our lives. As long as those problems exist, then we have lives of incredible, immense purpose in trying to solve those problems. Today we've heard about the problems of sexism and misogyny, which continues, which is an immensely purposeful task that we can all work together to solve. So, I guess I'm still a preacher, right? There is a joke that makes sense in English. I don't know if this will translate. It probably will not translate it, but I will say it. You know the word reverend was originally, it's a typo. The word reverend is a mistake. The first letter was originally an N. Michael got it. Think about it. If you don't know English, you think about it. So preachers can always talk forever and ever, and so I'm not going to talk very long at all. I'm just going to stop with the words of Thomas Paine, one of America's founding fathers, who also came to France to work on the French Revolution. Thomas Paine, who said, "My country is the world, and my religion is to do good."